Right now, a child is sitting in a bedroom, surrounded by more toys than a king would have owned 500 years ago. There's a screen in their hand, a cupboard full of food downstairs, a warm bed, locked doors keeping them safe. By every measure that matters to a parent, this child has everything. And they are more anxious, more depressed, and more lonely than almost any generation of children in recorded history. This isn't an opinion. It's in the data. And once you understand why, you'll never look at a modern childhood the same way again. Let's start with the numbers, because they're worse than most people think. Since 2010, rates of teenage depression have risen sharply across the developed world. Anxiety, self-harm, loneliness, all climbing at the same time. The psychologist Twenge has spent decades studying generational data. She found that the shift was so sudden and so sharp, it looked less like a trend and more like something breaking. Now here's the part that makes no sense. This happened during the safest, richest, most comfortable period in human history. More toys, more food, more medicine, more protection than any children who have ever lived. So how can a generation have everything and feel like they have nothing? The answer isn't about what we gave them. It's about what we took away. Let's talk about play. Not organized play. Not a coach blowing a whistle. Not a screen. Real play. The anthropologist David Lancy spent his career studying how children grow up in traditional societies. He found something striking. For almost all of human history, children spent most of the day in mixed-age groups, with almost no adult supervision. Older kids taught younger kids. A child who fell was picked up by another child. A child who asked a question was answered by a sibling. This wasn't neglect. This was childhood. For 300,000 years, this is how humans learned to be human, through play that adults did not control. And in about 2 generations, we deleted it. Consider this. In 1970, most children walked to school on their own. They roamed. They explored. They spent hours every day in a world with no adults watching. Today, that number has collapsed. Children are supervised almost every waking hour, driven from activity to activity, scheduled, monitored, protected. We think we made childhood safer. But the psychologist Peter Gray argues we did something else. He found that as children's free play declined, anxiety and depression rose, not by a little. The 2 lines mirror each other almost perfectly. Play wasn't a break from learning. Play was the learning. It's how children learn to handle fear, to take a risk, to solve a conflict without an adult stepping in, to feel in control of their own small world. Take that away, and you get a child who has never practiced being brave. Now let's talk about risk. This one is going to sound wrong. Children need danger, not real danger, but the feeling of it. Climbing too high, play fighting, being just a little bit scared and surviving it. Researchers call this risky play, and every study of it points the same way. Children who are allowed to take small risks grow into adults with less anxiety, not more. The child who climbs the tall tree learns that fear can be managed. The child who is never allowed near the tree learns only that the world is dangerous. We removed the tree, and then we wondered why the child was afraid of everything. Here's where it gets even stranger. For most of human history, children were needed. A 5-year-old in a hunter-gatherer camp gathered food. By 10, they were contributing real work to the family. They weren't a burden to be entertained. They were a member of the group with a job to do. Anthropologists found this again and again. Children want to contribute. They copy adult work before anyone asks them to. It's how they feel they belong. But modern children are given almost nothing to do. We've told them their only job is to be happy and to do well in school. We took away their usefulness and replaced it with pressure. And a child with no role in the group, no matter how many toys they own, feels something ancient and terrible. They feel like they don't matter. Now the pivot, because there is one more thing, and it changed everything. The screen. In the 1970s, a child's free time was spent outside, with other children, face to face. Today, the average child spends hours a day alone, looking at a glowing rectangle. Twenge found that the sharp rise in teenage depression lines up almost exactly with the moment the smartphone became common. The screen didn't just replace play, it replaced other children. For 300,000 years, a child's brain developed through real faces, real voices, real bodies moving through real space. Now it develops through a screen that was designed by adults to hold their attention for as long as possible. We gave them a window to the entire world, and it made their world smaller. So here's where we are. We built a childhood with no free play, no risk, no responsibility, and no other children in the room. And we filled the empty space with toys, screens, and supervision. We gave them everything a child could want, and accidentally removed everything a child actually needs. None of this is the parents' fault. Every single change was made out of love. We drove them everywhere because we wanted them safe. We watched them constantly because we wanted them protected. We gave them screens because everyone else did. Each choice made sense on its own. Together, they built a childhood that no child was ever designed to live. The modern child has everything, except the things that made children happy for 300,000 years. And maybe that's the hardest part to accept. We didn't fail them by giving them too little. We failed them by giving them too much of the wrong thing.